promised, here is a quick tutorial to starting a lit search. You probably have your own ways of doing this, but this is just in case. I am going to walk you through the way that I would start a project, and I'm using a topic basically that I was working with a student to go through a few years ago. So to follow along with this, go ahead and open up your UK Library System account and browse around and make sure that you're getting into the same databases, etc. And I'm going to pop out into that and show you that part when the time comes. And go ahead and try the different keywords that I'm using, open the different files, and that will help you understand it better. So the student wanted to write about inclusiveness and student organizations, particularly GLBT student support groups. And so we brainstormed a little bit about what would be the best keywords to start with. And he started off with inclusiveness, college students, and student organizations. So if I was doing this, I would go to EBSCOhost. It's just what I always do, and hopefully when we talk to the librarian, you'll get some better advice. I usually use Academic Search Premier, which may have a new name, ERIC, and the Sociological Database. And again, it's just what I always do. I got in a habit, and perhaps there's a better way of doing it. You'll have to find your own. And I enter in the keywords. We pop out for a minute here and actually go do that. So I started a new search. So I get in, I've already chosen Academic Search Complete as its new name, ERIC, and the Sociological Collection. So, and I have inclusiveness, college students, and student organizations. Okay, I only get one hit. That's all right, because it looks pretty good. So I take a look at it, and this is the way it goes through. I'm at home, so this is the way it goes through to get me to the article. And I'll let you go ahead and do that, and I'll go back to the PowerPoint. So the one article that comes up, okay, so it's 2004, which is not too old. That's okay. I usually, anything earlier than 2000, if I'm looking for current empirical research, I treat things that are before 2000 as being somewhat historical. And we can talk about that in class. But generally, 2004 is okay. It's empirical, so it's based on research, which is definitely something that I look for when I'm trying to write a lit review that is developing a research project. It is not an opinion essay. It is not a journalistic essay. It's not a letter to the editor. Sometimes scholarly essays that are opinion pieces can be helpful, but usually you want to try to find empirical work. A lit review, a synthesis of the literature, would be awesome. This particular piece is full text online. That makes me very happy because I'm at home. And it's about ethnicity. Okay, so in this case, the student didn't have ethnicity as one of his keywords, but in previous coursework, this student had taken student development theory and was familiar with ethnic identity development as being important to students feeling comfortable on campus. So we were talking about that would be a better place to go. Okay, so in the article, without even getting the article, just looking at the abstract. Now, if it wasn't full text, I could still read the abstract and know a little bit more about whether or not I want to go try to track down the paper copy. Anyway, by reading this through, which I'll allow you to do on your own time, I find out that, okay, the authors have found specialized student groups can increase divisions and reduce community, dividing campus. That's not good for the position that I'm trying to build with my student friend about wanting to create such a thing. Going into the actual article, reading the first paragraphs, again, sometimes you can just read the beginnings of articles and get a sense of whether or not it'll be useful to you. that's a quick way to triage a lot of material. In this case, we're still stuck with only having one thing, so we have to do better than that. There is a debate that's laid out in the article that whether or not special groups create divisions or whether special groups create safe havens. A debate is a really good thing to find when you're looking at a new research project because it allows you to figure out a way of structuring your argument. And clearly, if there's a debate in place, you need to figure out whether you fall on one side or the other, or maybe you have a new alternative. Talking points in a debate are really helpful for you to build your arguments. So in this case, we read on into this article, and I won't go into too much more detail. You can stop here and read this through. But this is basically what we're pulling out of this one article, some ideas that might or might not fill into the paper that we're working on. Okay, so that was a really good find. There was only one article, but it was a good find. There was a lot of bibliographic material. We got an overview of a debate relative to ethnic student groups. There was also an alternative theory that we hadn't seen before that gives a different slant from what I was familiar with and my student was familiar with. But the research was really about Greek life on a 4-year campus, and we were interested in 2-year campuses, and there was nothing about GLBT issues. So it was helpful, but not great. So the helpfulness is that it gives us a new way to do the search, to change the first keyword of inclusiveness to identity, and then try again. So let's back out and go take a look at what that does. So if we change inclusiveness to identity, and hopefully it'll work. Yeah, so now, the last time I did this, there was 27 or something. So now this gives me, clearly a lot of stuff to triage my way through. Inevitably, for some reason, medical journals get snuck in here, and there's some kind of
bullseye.
We didn't get 27 this time, and surprised at the 2015 we got 59 into my searches. And in that list, there were pieces about GLBT student organizations. I feel now like I've really got a good list to start to sort through. And I've still got that reference list from the first piece that had the debate and some theory about specialized student groups, and I can use that to help me organize. In that list, hopefully it's still there, there's a historical piece. Historical pieces are good because they give you the backstory. It allows you to kind of build, here's the picture, here's what happened before. Adding at least a short, even if it's just one paragraph, historical entry into any research project is really helpful because it shows that you know how your idea and your project, even if it's a current topic, fits into the larger scheme of things. That's what we're doing this semester in class, and that's what you should be doing in your papers as well. So hopefully this piece, there is a piece from the American Association of Community Colleges on campus climate and diversity, and even though it's 10 years old, it still has the basic framing that we're looking at. So looking at what we've done so far, I found a way to a reasonable set of articles to check out, and it looks like there'd be plenty of information there to work on. But at the same time, I'm also thinking about how is my article shaping up. The first piece raised the issue of identity development and campus climate. Is that really the way I wanted to go, or that my student and I wanted to go in trying to understand GLBT organizations on campus? I kind of have to decide, this is the rabbit hole issue. Do I want to go down that rabbit hole, or do I want to back up, regroup, and maybe try a different keyword and not go in that direction? It's up to you, and it depends on what comes out for you. So as I move forward, I'll consistently kind of keep coming back to, and usually what I have is a piece of paper with kind of usually a title and a couple of key ideas, and I keep reworking that. I use that as kind of a doodling, brainstorming sheet. And as I read new articles, I take notes on them and organize them, but I keep coming back to my kind of original thesis, question, idea, and keep working that. So for this particular project, it's starting to organize around a framework of what's good for the student versus what's good for campus. Again, I don't want to get stuck in that particular argument, but I have to choose somewhere, and I want to kind of try to keep some sense of direction to my process. I need a game plan. I also know that in this particular instance, in looking at how a group of students who are otherwise marginalized might feel included, that identity theory is going to be important. And if I don't, because I've already read that that's something that people are talking about, if I wasn't already familiar with it, I might want to go give myself a quick briefing. So sometimes some theory words or some models or concept words will come up, and if you're not familiar, it's worth taking a quick Google Scholar search to say, what is this concept? Is this something that I'm interested in? Is this a conceptual framework that I need to build on? In this case, it probably will be a conceptual framework that we'll use in the paper, and so I have to get my head around it, and I need to go learn more about it. So that's just, remember, starting a literature search on a new topic is difficult. You don't know the lay of the land. You don't know all the articles. You don't know the key authors. You don't know, even in some cases, which are the best journals to go to. And you're probably going to run into some conceptual frameworks and theories that are going to be unfamiliar to you. Hang in there and keep trying to build your game plan from what you're getting. Learn from what you find. Read the articles for how they are framed. Remember, that first article had a debate. Very useful. Relative to the disciplinary audiences as much as you do for content. If you're reading an article that is written for social workers, be on the lookout for keywords, key audience, key concepts, useful, and keep a running list to make that translation. Don't just jump concepts. Do without thinking it through. You may find articles that are written for a four-year audience, like the article we found, not that had a lot of information. Be careful sometimes about the way that endnotes are used, as we mentioned, not necessarily applicable software package. Sometimes Word doesn't organize articles differently than you have to decide. There are others out there, and we will learn more about them in March. Remember, what we might do a little bit of research on consensus and conflict, for example. And notice free with words have different meanings in different literatures. Status, and I believe that there's some other free ones out there. Feel free to post information you find about those in the Facebook page.